How did a simple jeans commercial spiral into one of the most intense culture war debates of the year without Sydney Sweeney even saying a single word beyond talking about denim? For most people, a clothing ad is just another forgettable clip on social media. But when Sydney Sweeney appeared in American Eagle's Great Jeans campaign, the internet didn't just notice, it exploded. What started as a harmless pun between jeans and jeans suddenly snowballed into claims, counterclaims, political commentary, celebrity reactions, and a wave of speculation that refused to die down. And the wildest part? Sydney stayed silent through most of it, letting the storm grow louder until it became impossible to ignore. The ad itself was deceptively simple. Sydney, with her blonde hair and bright blue eyes, talked about how traits, personality, hair color, eye color, are shaped by the genes you inherit. Then she ended the ad with a soft smile and the line that would turn into a cultural battlefield. "My genes are blue." The brand intended it as a clever play on words, a little pun, a fashion campaign with a science twist, nothing more. But the moment the internet saw it, the narrative twisted into something far bigger. Almost instantly, people online started pointing out how the imagery and the genes messaging felt too close to historical propaganda they didn't want to be reminded of. Comment sections blew up with accusations, with people saying the campaign echoed old ideologies that the world had spent decades trying to move away from. Memes spread, reaction videos piled up, and what should have been a routine brand promo suddenly got labeled as tone deaf, loaded, and even coded. Some commentary went even further, jumping into comparisons that Sydney never anticipated. And the more people talked, the harder it became to control the narrative. The controversy hit a nerve because it wasn't just about genes or genetics anymore. It tapped into a bigger cultural tension simmering online, questions about identity, representation, and how brands choose to tell their stories. During a time when advertising is constantly under the microscope, this campaign became a lightning rod. People weren't just reacting to the pun, they were reacting to everything they felt was underneath it. The internet wasn't debating fashion, it was debating symbolism. And while fans and critics argued nonstop, the brand tried to stand its ground. American Eagle insisted the whole thing was simply a creative spin to sell denim, not a coded message or a political statement. Internally, the campaign performed exactly how modern marketing wants: maximum attention, endless conversation, and viral loops that kept extending the ad's lifespan. Despite the backlash, analytics showed something surprising. Sales spiked, traffic surged, and the company got more publicity in a week than many brands dream of in a year. But that didn't stop the cultural blowback. Through all of it, Sydney said nothing. Her silence became its own story. People started reading meaning into it, some saying she was avoiding responsibility, others saying she shouldn't have to validate every interpretation of an ad she didn't even script. The absence of her voice made the situation more confusing, and the speculation kept growing. Every day the conversation shifted, picking up new angles, new opinions, and new layers of drama that made the controversy seem endless. It wasn't until months later that Sydney finally broke that silence. And when she did, she made it clear she was blindsided by the way things escalated. She explained that she loved the jeans, loved the brand, and had zero connection to the narratives people attached to the campaign. She emphasized that she never supports anything rooted in hate or division, and that the assumptions being made about her weren't just wrong, they were completely detached from her intentions. For someone who prefers to stay out of public debates, this moment forced her to speak, not because she wanted attention, but because silence was beginning to widen the divide. She talked openly about how she leads with kindness, how she cares about unity, and how she was shocked that a denim commercial turned into something so explosive. She admitted she usually avoids responding to press, good or bad, but realized this time the situation needed clarity. Her message was simple. She stands firmly against hate, against prejudice, and against any attempt to pit people against each other. She hoped the new year would shift focus towards what connects everyone rather than what tears people apart. But even her statement triggered mixed reactions. Some applauded her sincerity. Others felt she spoke too late. And then a new twist emerged that pushed the story further into political territory. Former President Donald Trump publicly praised the ad, calling it fantastic, and expressed surprise that she was a registered Republican. That comment alone added a whole new layer of speculation, dragging the conversation into a space Sydney never intended to enter. Suddenly, it wasn't just about the ad anymore. It was about her political identity, her fan base, her industry relationships, and how public figures get swept into movements they never asked to be part of. Celebrities jumped into the discussion too. Doja Cat mocked the ad, Lizzo made jokes about it online. Their reactions reignited the controversy each time it started to cool off. The internet loves a villain and a hero in every story, and Sydney found herself being cast as both, depending on which corner of the internet you looked at. But beneath the noise was a more complicated reality. Sydney didn't craft the script, she didn't create the concept, and she didn't predict the deeper meanings people would read into a simple fashion campaign. Yet the conversation surrounding her exposed something bigger about celebrity culture. It showed how easily a moment can spiral when people decide they've decoded a hidden message. It revealed how fragile public perception can be and how quickly narratives form without context. It also highlighted how difficult it is for celebrities to navigate situations where silence is interpreted as guilt, but speaking up is treated as defensiveness. The entire saga became a mirror reflecting how polarized discussions have become, where even an ad about jeans becomes a battleground. As the dust begins to settle, what lingers is a question bigger than Sydney herself. When does an advertisement stop being an advertisement and start becoming a cultural statement? At what point does symbolism outweigh intention? And how much responsibility should a public figure carry when the narrative moves far beyond their control? The Sydney Sweeney controversy isn't just about denim. It's about perception, projection, and the power of the internet to reshape a story into whichever direction gains the most traction. In the end, this wasn't a story about jeans at all. It was a story about how one moment, one line, one image, one ad can become a canvas for everything people are already feeling. And while Sydney hopes for a future focused on connection rather than division, this moment proved just how quickly the world can turn something simple into something seismic. Whatever side people fall on, one thing remains clear. Sometimes the loudest conversations are sparked by things no one ever expected.